Welcome to week 4, day 1 of our Build Balance Momentum program. I'm Chelsea Lundeen. Today's posture is one that we've seen before, I believe last week, which is butterfly posture. So a really nice hip opening posture, very great pose for unwinding at the end of a practice. So we're going to begin today's practice in thunderbolt posture, which is the posture I am in right now. So just a low kneeling posture. Feel free to put a block under your butt or a towel if you would like to make it more comfortable for you. And I suggest keeping your blocks on hand just in case you want to use them at all during your practice today. So I welcome you to just close your eyes and settle into your breath as we begin this practice. If you're feeling any anxiety or worries about anything in your external life outside of your mat, feel free to leave those worries at the door. We want to be fully present in our practice today as best as we can be to give our bodies the most attention that it needs. So I welcome you to turn your attention to your breath. And just imagine the air, inhaling it up into your nose and dropping down into your lungs, swelling your lungs with air, and fully expanding with each inhale. And then as you exhale, imagine that breath being pushed forcefully out of your nasal passages. And just sink into your natural rhythmic breathing. And if you find your mind wandering, simply acknowledge it and welcome it back to your breath. I welcome you to open your eyes at this time as we settle into a downward facing dog for starting. So we place our hands nice and wide on the mat, come up onto our knees, or tuck our toes under and push our hips back into a downward facing dog. Since this is the first downward facing dog of our practice, I welcome you to pedal out your legs as needed. And just take a few deep breaths. Remember, you can bend your knees if you would like. And we're going to start our flow today with a sun salutation B. So I welcome you to inhale your right foot up and exhale it forward, coming up, bringing your left foot to join your right foot. Inhale to a halfway lift, exhale to a forward fold. Inhale, we're going to rise up into your chair pose, so sit your sit bones back, legs strong, quads engaged, arms rising up. Deep inhale. Exhale, palms in prayer as we rise to standing. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, back down into chair. Inhale, forward fold. Exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step your left foot back, and then your right. Inhale as we lean forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Rest here only a moment as we bring our right foot up in between our hands, dropping the heel of our left foot down. Inhale into warrior one. Exhale, lower your hands back to the mat. Bring your right foot back into plank. Inhale. As you lean forward, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale as you bring your left foot up in between your hands, dropping your right heel. Inhale up into warrior one. Exhale your arms back down. Bringing your left foot to match the right foot in plank. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Roll onto your toes as you exhale into downward facing dog. A great way to warm up your body for your practice today. So rest a moment to catch your breath. We're only doing one today. I want you to ground through your right foot as you inhale your left foot up, keeping those hips square for a moment before opening them up, dropping that heel towards your butt, getting a nice hip opening here. Now bring that knee under towards your chest as you bring those feet, that foot in between your hands, and dropping that back knee down, untucking those toes. We're gonna inhale into cactus arms. Nice slight back bend here, pushing and sinking into your hips. Not so much that it's uncomfortable, but enough that you're getting a nice stretch. Exhale as you straighten out that front leg, pulling those toes off the mat and sinking into a hamstring stretch, dropping your hands to the mat. Inhale, bring your front foot back down. Come up into cactus arms, sinking into your knee. Exhale, hands to the mat. Nice hamstring stretch. Do one more inhale. Low lunge, cactus your arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, gaze high. Exhale. Dropping your hands to the mat, forward fold into this nice hamstring stretch. Bring your foot back to the mat. Use your left hand to open up that left hip. So we're just getting it nice and loose for our posture today. When you're ready, we're going to come into lizard pose, another new pose, which is coming onto our forearms in low lunge. So at this time, you may grab a block or two if that's what you need, and you can rest your forearms on it if it's too uncomfortable. The full posture is without a block, where you just kind of come in here, resting your forearms, spine long. But again, especially early on in our practices, sometimes we're just a little tight, so feel free to use a block or even two blocks if you need to. Rest your forearms on, and then that is completely fine. We want to focus on hugging this knee in towards our bodies, so not letting it drape open, but nice and tight to the body. Deep breath. Core engaged. Sinking with every exhale a little bit deeper towards the mat, into the stretch. This is also a great posture when you're learning the splits. We're going to release our hands now and move our blocks back, and we're actually going to enter right from here into pigeon pose, which is another new pose that we'll be getting to in, I believe, week 8 of the practice. But we're going to introduce it now. So we'll bring our we'll bring our knees towards the mat, so we're bending our shin in front of us, and we don't want to worry so much about getting it like 90 degrees with the mat, like a lot of people say. When you're first starting out, it's completely okay to kind of bring your foot towards your groin. There's nothing wrong with that. So I want you to think about pointing your toes, and you'll see it a little better when I flip to the other side, but point your toes, imagine externally rotating your shin and pushing down through that front knee to really support and support that knee, because we don't want to be straining our knee in this posture. which sometimes can happen. So if we externally rotate our shin, point our toes, and push through that knee, that's a great way to protect our knee. And then think about your back leg internally rotating that hip and thigh, so it kind of pushes our hips and squares our hips to the front of the mat to get a nice stretch. Just kind of sink your body into this posture. And we're going to tint our fingers out to a little wide here. We're going to inhale, spine long, and then exhale, forward fold. We're going to keep our elbows up, squeezing our shoulder blades together. We're going to inhale back up, letting your head hang heavy until we get to the top. And then exhale, forward fold. So this is kind of like a modified pigeon cobra. Inhale, up. Think about sinking those hips towards the mat still. And then exhale, forward fold. I want you to think about straightening out that left hand, or the one that's on the same side as your knee, and kind of bending your right shoulder towards the mat. And resting your head and your shoulder on the mat. Now inhale back up. We're gonna kind of push towards the other side, resting our chest onto our knee. This you really feel in the hip. Straightening out that other hand. And back up. We're going to walk our hands in. And when we're ready, we're going to push the mat away from us and pull up our hips so that we're able to free this front leg and drop that knee to the outside of the hip. So we want to think about getting it nice and in line with our hip, and then kind of bringing it down so it's forming a 90-degree angle here. And we're going to come back onto our forearms, and this is almost what we call a modified Sphinx pose. So we want to think about engaging our core. Our core is nice and strong here to help protect our lower back. And we're just going to breathe through the posture. So pushing the mat away with our hands or with our arms. Gaze in front of us. We're just going to breathe through this stretch. When you're ready, we're going to take our right hand, so the opposite side of the knee that's out, and straighten it out to the other side, so to the outside of your mat. We're going to open up our chest, so think about kind of doing like a gentle spinal twist, pulling our right shoulder back and our chest to our right side. And this will sink some of your weight into your hip just a bit more. Still pushing the mat away with your left forearm as well. And then release back down. We're going to come up onto our hands here, pulling our hips up, and we're going to come into almost like a child's pose, but we're going to keep our legs, we're not going to move our legs at all, we're just going to sit back towards our left heel. And this will allow you to get a nice deeper hip stretch here. You can rest your frontal lobe on the mat if that's comfortable for you. And when you're ready, we're just going to walk our hands over to the right side, getting a nice stretch through the left side body. I know a lot of little micro movements in this flow today. So you can feel that stretch all through your left side. Good, and release, bringing your hands back up. Push pushing up as if you're going to come into tabletop. And then we're going to sit back into downward facing dog. And I'm going to switch sides so you can get a little better view of what's going on for the other side. Deep stretch today. So we're going to ground through that left foot as we inhale our right foot up. Bending that foot towards the butt. We're going to open up our hips here, getting a nice hip opening stretch. Good, we're going to bring that knee towards our chest as we puff, puff, puff through the back of the back, bringing that foot to rest in between our hands, dropping that left knee onto the mat, untucking those toes to place the top of our foot onto the mat. We're going to inhale up into low lunge as we cactus our arms out now on the other side, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Inhale as we fold forward, straightening out that front knee, peeling those toes off the mat and pulling our toes towards our shins to get a nice hamstring stretch. Pushing our tailbones towards the back of the mat. Inhale, we're going to drop that front foot back down as we bend our knee, rising up into low lunge. Again, cactusing the arms. Exhale as we drop those hands down, pulling those toes towards our shin. We'll do one more. Drop that foot. Inhale, arms up. Cactus arms. Sink a little bit deeper into your hips here. Really feel that stretch, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Exhale, release back down. Forward fold into your leg for a nice hamstring stretch. From here, we're going to come back up, grab your block if you need to, block or blocks. We're going to come into that lizard stretch again. So bringing your forearms in between on the other side of your foot. You don't need to use a block, like I said, if this isn't enough of a stretch for you. Imagine sinking this knee towards your body, inhaling spine long. Breathe through here, feeling that stretch through your groin. Core engaged. We're going to come back up, remove our block. Use your right hand to kind of open up the hip just a little bit more, pushing it to the side. Not so much that you're pulling a muscle or anything, but just enough so you really feel it. Feels like you're getting a nice stretch through that hip. We're going to come into pigeon pose on this side. So drop your hands down and bring that right knee towards the mat. So again, pointing your toes, shin resting on the mat. Pushing through that knee to protect that knee joint, and kind of walk your back foot out just a little bit so you can get your hips a little closer to the mat, untucking those back toes to rest that foot on the mat. Again, keeping the front toes pointed, outwardly rotating that shin, pushing through the knee, inward, internal rotation of the back hip and thigh. We're going to inhale, tenting our arms out to the side, and exhale, forward fold. Going to inhale, halfway lift up, almost like we said, a modified pigeon cobra. And then exhale, forward fold, dropping your forehead to the mat. Inhale, rise up, keeping your head heavy until the top. Rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Straighten your right arm, kind of bringing it out just a little wider as you sink your chest towards the mat and towards your left side. Notice how the stretch in your hip intensifies. Push, use your left hand to push yourself back up. Leaning more towards your right, resting your chest onto your knee as you straighten out that left arm. Good. Inhale, rise up. Bring your arms in front of you once again. Use it to push the mat away, lifting your hips up and allowing you to bring that knee out in line with your hip. Bringing that foot so it's forming a 90-degree angle with that leg and coming in onto our forearms here. Allowing yourself to release towards the mat. Really sinking, engaging those glutes to kind of help get a little more stretch in that hip. Core engaged here, push the mat away. So think about rising up, spine long. Breathe through this stretch. Take your right hand and extend it out to the side with a slight bend, micro bend in that that elbow, and pulling your left shoulder back as you pull your chest through to the left side, pushing the mat away with your right hand to get a nice spinal stretch here. You really feel it intensify in the hip here as well, keeping those glutes engaged. Release back down. We're going to come up onto our hands as we bring our hips up. Again, sitting back onto our right heel this time. Resting our frontal lobe on the mat. Let's walk our hands over to the left side, getting a nice stretch through the right side body. Inhale and exhale, sinking your chest towards the mat, resting your frontal lobe on the mat. We're going to lock our hands back over now. Come up and let's sink into regular child's pose. So knees wide, big toes together. And let's just rest back just for a second. Give our hips a little break. If you want, you can even walk your knees in closer together to give your hips more of a rest before we enter into our butterfly posture in a second. When you're ready, think about clawing your mat. So as if we're pulling ourselves towards our hands. So think about clawing, pulling your chest forward into tabletop posture. We're going to come into a seated posture, so I'm just bringing my legs under and popping a squat. Technically that's not popping a squat, but coming onto rest onto my butt. Bringing my knees in towards my chest for a nice spinal, or a nice hug. Nice knee hug here. See how my feet are kind of hovering over the mat. I welcome you to take your two fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, and grabbing both of your big toes. And we're just gonna stretch out our right leg, keeping the spine long. We don't want to be hunching over, spine nice and long. Dropping that back down. Exhaling the left foot straight, or left leg straight, I should say. Spine long. Let's do this one more time. Drop the left as you straighten out the right. Drop the right, straighten out the left. Hold the left here as you bring your right foot up to join it. Spine long, core engaged, slight micro bend in the knees. Feel free to widen out your legs if you need to. Balancing on our booties. Again, no hunching in the spine here. Nice and long and strong. Deep breath. Hold. When you're ready, bend those knees out and bring your toes and feet together to rest on the mat into our posture of the day, which is butterfly. Spine nice and long. I like to hug my feet, the base of my feet together. To make this easier, you can keep your feet out nice and wide, or further from your groin. To make it a little harder, if you're a little more flexible naturally, you can bring your feet closer to the body. We want to think about releasing ourselves through our hips and allowing those knees to kind of pull towards the floor. So inhale, spine long. If you kind of pull your tummy through your arms, pull your chest through your arms, you can feel a deeper stretch here through the groin and through the hips. Couple deep breaths. Again, moving your feet closer together or closer to your body or further away as you feel you need to. The goal here isn't to have your knees necessarily resting on the mat. It's just getting the benefits of the pose, however that may look for you. Bring our feet back down, close our knees towards each other, and we're just gonna gently, vertebrae by vertebrae, lower ourselves to the mat, keeping our knees nice and hugged in towards our chests. Bring your knees towards your right side, so keep them bent and just drop them towards the right side. Extending your left arm to the side, following it with your gaze. Relaxing the body. This isn't meant to be a tense posture. Bring your knees up once again to the chest. And use your left hand to drop them over to the left side. Dropping your right arm long to the side, following it with your gaze. Feel free to close your eyes. Let's bring our knees back up towards our chest one last time. Giving it a nice squeeze. Maybe coming up and tucking our chin in towards our knees. And slowly releasing for Shavasana. Allowing our body to relax. Releasing tension from our shoulders, from our hips, from our thighs, from our backs. Gently release. Allow them to sink into your mat. Returning to your normal breathing. And I want you to just congratulate your body for sticking to this program and giving you its all. And I want you to think about congratulating yourself for sticking with it and giving it your all. And allowing yourself to just connect with your body on a deeper level, connect with your mind. Thank you so much for joining me today in this practice.